Hello everyone and welcome to tutorial 3 of my dog's age in human years. What we're going to be concentrating on in this part is how to make it so that there could be a button down below that when somebody presses it, it actually does the calculations. Rather than just having a pop-up that kind of automatically happens when you go to a website. We all know that pop-ups are pretty annoying to get, so let's try to make this a little bit more user-friendly by adding a button down below that will retrieve all the code that we've done so far and do the calculations. Then finally in the last video we'll actually go further with the calculations and make it more accurate. Remember that our main goal here has been to get this chart as accurate as possible. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting close. So to start with, I wanted to go back to code.org, which you guys learned earlier in the year, and I wanted to just kind of review what a function is because we're going to need to use functions to make this happen. You might remember from the Minecraft level that you made functions. For example, you made the function called clearPath, and clearPath consists of 3 different blocks of code, and it doesn't actually happen unless you put the clearPath function in your main code. So it's a way to reduce the amount of code you might have to use. It's also kind of an organized way of telling the computer when to run certain things. And I just wanted to review what that was in case you forget from code.org training. So let's go back now. And the reason I reviewed that was because we now want to make our first function in JavaScript here. And we're basically going to turn this entire thing into a function just so that when we run it, it doesn't happen automatically. It's going to trigger the function when we click on the button. So we're going to go back to line number 1 and let's bump everything down a bit. And on line number 1, we're going to make a function, and you do that in JavaScript just by saying the word function. Okay, so start with that. We're going to call this, let's say, dog to human age. That's what this function is going to do. We need our bracket, and you might remember that everything, anything like a function or an if statement or a loop is all going to have an open squiggly bracket there. And we can see there's a closed one here too. Now we have to decide what's going to be part of the function. It's actually going to be the entire thing. So we're just going to take the closed squiggly bracket that we have there and put it down on line 13 to close it there instead. Proper indentation now to say what's part of the function. It would be good if we indented everything else by 1. I'm pressing the tab key here to do this, and that will clearly show what's inside of the function. So I'm just tabbing everything over. This, it will work either way, but this is just kind of good style. Now it's a little bit more obvious what's inside of the function dog to human age. So whenever that function gets called, it's now going to do all of this stuff inside. Okay? So take a minute to do that, and then we're going to switch back over to the HTML area, the index.html, and we're going to add a button to the bottom of our code that is going to trigger that function. So we have the function created in the main.js, dog to human age, and on the website we're going to create the button. So you can kind of see we have a nice spot already on line number 12 to put that in. So put your cursor on line 12 of your HTML, and this is what the button's going to look like, the button code. So we're going to have button, and this is how you do it. You say on click. So that's telling when to do something with it. We're going to say it's equal to dog to human age, bracket. So that's the name of the function, and that's what we're showing there. We have kind of a less than sign over here, then we need to close that off with the greater than sign. Now you can see it kind of adds the word / button tag to the end of it, and then in between these two are what you're going to call your button. So I'm just going to put in dog's age calculator, and that's the text that's going to actually show up for the button that's in between these symbols, and in between these tags. But it's going to trigger, when I click on it, it's going to trigger this command over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and play that and see what happens. There we can see we now have a dog's age calculator button that came from that. And when I click on it, I get the pop-up box. How old is your dog? Let's say it's 10, and your dog is 7 years old is the output from that. Okay, so you can see this is a little bit different how it works now. A little bit more interactive and up to the human to decide when they want to do that. They have this nice little button here that's going to do that when the time comes. And again, when they click on it, it triggers the function that we made in the code of dog to human age. So that is something to get your assignment a little bit further, a little bit fancier with what it's doing, and to avoid just kind of pop-up windows randomly happening when somebody goes to your website. So that is going to be the end of tutorial number 3, how to do a function and how to do buttons in HTML. In the final tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to make this whole thing more accurate, how to get it closer to the chart that we originally started with. So we're going to need some if statements and some different conditions to check out for that. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.